let's welcome our featured speaker. He is from Weixin Pay, also known as WeChat Pay, the Regional Director for Southeast Asia, Etienne Ng. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please.
Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon. I hope everyone is still awake. So first and foremost, thank you to the organizer for extending the invitation for me to come over to do a quick sharing. I'm not sure if any one of you have been to China for the last year and actually used WeChat. Has anyone used WeChat here before? Thank you. So for the rest, you may just adjourn for your tea break. So of course, for those of you who are not familiar with WeChat, I'm just going to take a few moments to just share with you what exactly is that. Before I begin, I'm just going to share with you a quick video that I actually picked up from a media report last year.
On your way to the office, a message comes in from your boss. Can you grab them a coffee? They pay you back in a different app. You go to another app to place an order for pickup, and your mobile wallet needs to be updated. Okay, there. Now, coffee, which took 4 apps to accomplish. But in China, it takes just one, WeChat, a super app.
So I'm sure this doesn't apply to Maldives, correct? Because we are leading a simple life here. So for this, for those of you who are not familiar, for WeChat, how it actually started, it is an app that is 14 years old. So it is considered a granddaddy in the tech world. It is under a company called Tencent. So this company is actually one of the largest in Asia today by market cap. So over here, what you can actually see, how it started, because it started as a messaging tool, just purely for messaging, for communication, for you to talk to your friends. But after a while, the founder of WeChat, or Weixin, his name is Etienne Ng, he actually find it very disturbing when a lot of young people started just using their mobile phone and not talking to each other, even in the same room, same environment. So he started talking to the product team and asked them to make some changes. And along the way, I want to share with you this slide, which actually is the most important for WeChat today, as what we know as the WeChat ecosystem. So over here, from chatting, businesses started to realize that the whole of China is using WeChat. So they asked WeChat, hey, WeChat, can I use WeChat to reach out to them? Can I sell my product to them? Can I publicize my brand to them? The marketing that you have been talking about. So this thing called official account was created. Think of it as a website in the WeChat ecosystem. So instead of the www of the HTML world, it is the equivalent in WeChat ecosystem. But that is not enough. For those of you which I believe everyone should be quite aware, if you travel to China today, you do need a VPN to access your Meta ecosystem, to access your Google, your LinkedIn, right? So that's where the equivalent of that was built in WeChat, which is what we know as Moments. So Moments is just like your Facebook, your Instagram inside WeChat. But that is still not enough, because after chatting, after the businesses got their direct channel to the user, and after the users got their social media on WeChat, the users want more. They do not just want static content. They do not just want to be looking at photos and text. They want dynamic content. That's where channels was created. Channels, to put it simply in a layman term, is just like your TikTok inside WeChat. So far, are you all still following me? So you can see that there are various components inside the WeChat ecosystem. But what may interest you as the GM of a property or the owner of a property in the hospitality or travel industry is this thing called mini program. Think of it as a mini app inside the same WeChat app. As consumer ourselves, how many times have you been asked by a business, a brand, to download their app, to be a member, a loyalty member? So this is a problem statement this is a problem for a lot of consumers because they find it very cumbersome. Why is it every time I visit Starbucks, I need to download the app? Why is it that every time I go to a Nike, I need to download the app? What is it for? It's taking up a lot of space and a lot of time for me to do that. So that's the gist of what the WeChat ecosystem about. Why I'm spending so much time to explain this to you, because all the examples that I'm going to share with you, the user behavior, the trend of the Chinese, whether they are the mass, the backpackers, the married couple, all the lux that you are interested, they are all using WeChat. And for WeChat itself, in fact, we were quite surprised to be voted one of the strongest brand in the world by Brand Finance recently. In fact, it was #1 though, ahead of some of the brands that we are quite familiar here. So this is a short video to show you the user interface of WeChat. So there are some examples here, some of what the Lux brands are actually doing in China. No surprise, especially to ladies, I'm sure you're quite familiar. So this is a search, it's just like what we are doing on Google search, but the difference is it's on WeChat. And then what Starbucks is doing in China to actually drive their sales, their customer loyalty through a mini program. So a lot of people ask me, Etienne, can you share with us who are the users of WeChat? What is their demographic? What is their psychographic? What are their needs? These are all very big questions, and usually my reply is, I don't know how to reply you because the whole of China is using WeChat. So it can be a student, it could be a homemaker, it could be a retiree, it could be a billionaire. They are all using WeChat. But one thing is certain, if you are doing business with a Chinese company, a lot of times, and I get this a lot because I also cover the Southeast Asia market, a lot of times partners will ask me, why is it that your WeChat or Tencent team don't respond to my emails? And I told them it's because the work culture in China today is such that they are very used to working off their mobile devices. And trust me, when you contact them on WeChat, they may reply you instantly, but if you send them an email, it may take weeks. So this was a video that we did last year, but relevant today. The China is one of the last big countries in the world that people would have after. So, before they actually might be open up, take it. How good. Then so this one updated to about 33 countries. They when all of merchant set WeChat Pay. So in Maldives, for those of you who are not familiar, I'm not sure except WeChat Pay. We'll come to that later. So this is the one that may be of interest to you because I like the part where just now in one of the earlier sharing, we have the same resources anywhere on Earth. It can be in Maldives, it can be in Europe, it can be in North America, it can be in Asia. But what sets us apart from the rest? Again, is your unique identity, is your own unique offering. But the question here is, who knows you are unique? If you don't send the word out, who would know? But the good thing is today, in this today global connected world, our messaging can get out much more efficiently and cost effectively than before, right? So over here, Sorry for the language, it's in Chinese. So for those of you who have translation app, you can try to see whether it works. But essentially, no surprises from the popular destination. For number 1 and number 2, for me, as a Singaporean, I see it as part of China, right? Because it's Hong Kong and Macau, so they are classified as Greater China. And then number 3 is, of course, one of the most popular destinations in the world, Thailand. But of course, you may argue that it's very near to China, right? There are some parts of China, they have a shared border with Thailand in Kunming as well. Then there's Japan. So there's some changes to this as well, because this was actually picked up from the May Labor Day Golden Week holiday. There was about 5 days of public holiday. But for the recent summer holiday, which is in July and August, is where the schools will go for their break. So where there are a lot more family traveler, Japan actually climbed up to number 2. They overtook Thailand and Macau to be number 2 now. South Korea is still there. So this is the part that is quite important, because now I want to zoom in a little bit on the money payment and in terms of what they buy using WeChat. Because in China, there is this big push by the whole of government and also the community on the cashless payment system. Of course, it has caused some issue with the recent typhoon, as I was sharing with some gentlemen on our table. For the recent typhoon that hit Hainan, which is what China tourism is trying to market it as the Hawaii of the East, because of the typhoon, there was severe power outage in the city. So what happened for cashless payment, which depend on your mobile phone? You have no power. So a lot of people actually are trying to find ways to charge their phone, because without their phone, they cannot buy anything. They cannot make payment. So this is the downside of a cashless society. And then if you look at here, there's also this question about what is the market share of WeChat Pay in China? Because I'm sure most of you will be familiar with Union Pay and Alipay, which are the 2 other payment modes in China. My reply is, not everyone in China has a credit card. For the last 15 years, with the digital e-wallet, a lot of the younger Chinese that you're after, those from their so-called early careers, they grew up without a credit card. They don't know what's a credit card because they see no need. There's no value and relevance to them. And then for the rest of this, in terms of the purchasing power, what I wanted to share here is what we observe at WeChat Pay is the amount for the same dollar, the percentage where the user use it for shopping has declined drastically. So where is that same dollar, where did it go to? It actually went to the experiences that all of you are talking about today. The sightseeing experiences, the local experiences, the unique heritage, the stories that are unknown of that you want to tell them. The Chinese users, the consumers, they are spending money on that. Because we have seen that in the 69, 70 plus country or so when we run through the data on what they are actually spending on. So for shopping, it's definitely dropping. They are not buying a lot now, like pre-COVID. They are spending more on all these experiences. The other part where we saw a big spike is actually on dining. So for places where there are Michelin restaurants, there are celebrity restaurants, we're seeing more Chinese using WeChat Pay. So ODET in Singapore, which is under this Lo and Behold group, they just enabled WeChat Pay recently as well. And then because previously their source of market doesn't really include the Chinese, because they always thought that they will be in Singapore for the Singapore chili crab and not the celebrity restaurant. This is quite interesting. This is a mall that I visited last week. So last week I was in this tier 2 city in the middle of China called Wuhan. It's not your Shanghai, it's not your Beijing or Guangzhou or Shenzhen that some of you may be quite familiar. is ranked number 5 in terms of the tier 2 city. So to clarify, it's not a top tier Chinese city, but I was blown away by the retail experiences there. They even have, I didn't put it here, autonomous driverless taxi in a tier 2 city ranked number 5. So if you include the tier 1 city, this is the city that's ranked number 9 in China. So what about the other 8 cities in front of them? So if you want to compete being the newest, best in class in terms of hardware, it's going to be very challenging, right? Because in China, they build things faster, better, and even cheaper. So that's where I think the experiences that I think almost everyone here talks about is something that will actually resonate quite closely to the Chinese traveler. This is the one that I wanted to share with you that could be a new area of growth opportunity for you if the Chinese market will continue to be a key source market for your property in years to come. I say this to all my potential partners all the time. Do not embark on this process, this journey, if you are actually going in with a trial and error mentality. Because this is like your corporate name card inside WeChat ecosystem. Once you start, the users will be able to find you, like Crossroads here. And that's where it will become like a new brand channel for you. We have some study that we done with some of this Chinese traveler on the importance or relevance of this WeChat mini program to them. So this is very specific to F&B, the growth area that I mentioned to you, where the Chinese are more willing to spend on this quality dining experiences. This is specific to ordering. Believe it or not, with 1.3 billion population, a lot of restaurants in China also face a manpower crunch. It sounds a bit weird, right? But that's where they are turning to Weixin WeChat mini program to actually overcome these manpower challenges. There's a lot of information here. You can read it for yourself. I'm not going to regurgitate what is over here. Suffice to say that it is a tool that all Chinese use every day in their daily activity, whether is it traveling, going to school, whether when they go to work, they order a coffee, everything can actually take place here. The possibilities are endless. And of course, the part where language is an area of a concern for a lot of Chinese travelers when they actually travel out of China. And I haven't even touched on the domestic travel of China, because China is bigger than Europe, and you will know that there are a lot of resources inside, tourism resources in China that are not promoted today to the foreigners. So these are just some examples of some of the brands that you are quite familiar with, the multinational brand, the luxury brands that are all utilizing the WeChat mini program to market themselves to the Chinese, to add that layer of convenience, to bridge the gap with the Chinese. The example that I didn't share here is Apple. I'm sure some of you may be using Chinese Android phone. Apple market share in China is dropping by the day. So even Apple is trying to sell their phone on the mini program today. So just now I spoke about the WeChat ecosystem, and I spoke about payment, I spoke about the mini program. You may be thinking, so this is in an ideal world, the complete WeChat user journey from start to end, from pre-arrival to conversion, if you like. From the part where how they actually discover you, to the engagement, the interaction that happen inside the ecosystem, to the conversion that matters the most to you. And of course, the after service. And not to forget, WeChat is a lifestyle app. If the user like what they go through, what they experience, the likelihood of them sharing on their social media is there. But similarly, for complaints, it also gets shared around very fast. And then over here, these are some examples of some of the brands that actually work with WeChat over the last year. So whether it's in Japan, Korea, Singapore, Southeast Asia. And one of the key messages that I want to leave with you is this. WeChat is a brand that all Chinese are deeply so-called familiar with. So if you which may not have the dedicated China or Chinese marketing resources, because whatever you're doing in the meta world, it cannot be recycled in the Chinese digital world. We all know that they operate in a different universe. So you may want to consider to make use of the WeChat brand at your property to reduce the pain point of the part where, whether is it for user services or use it for so-called driving of ancillary revenue. So of course, I have to show this. Mr. Khalil is here. So I think earlier this year, in May, we actually signed a partnership with MMPRC, with, of course, the blessing and support from the Tourism Ministry. And I think what we hope to achieve is today, just like today, the beginning, where we are able to have a conversation with all the important decision makers in this room on exactly thinking about your future business growth plan, the Chinese market, how important is it to you? And if they are, how are you going to reach out to them? Here I am from WeChat. So for WeChat Pay, which actually if today we go and look through the comments in the Chinese social media, there's a lot of negative feedback about payment. Just now I mentioned that WeChat Pay is in over 70 countries today. Singapore Tourism Board, they did a focus group in China recently, and they were sharing with us. Some travelers said they will not consider destination that require them to change to the separate different currency because they find it too troublesome. And from their point of view, the Chinese e-wallet are readily available. So these are just some examples. Today, most of the merchants in Maldives are enabled through BML, which obviously you're quite familiar. But there's actually another player, another provider that also accepts WeChat Pay in Maldives, that is Global Payment, which is a US company, Global Payment. So they also accept WeChat Pay because we actually work with them at the Asia Pac level. For this slide here, one of the things that I just want to one of the issues that we actually pick up from here is this. I was told there are about 8,000 merchants in Maldives, so about 50% have been onboarded on the WeChat Pay portal. But when I look at my so-called transaction record, the number of active merchants, which means there are daily transactions, is only at 1% of the 50%. Okay, this is not a math question. So the number is about 50. So every day in Maldives, there are only about 50 active merchants, or less than that, where we see WeChat Pay transaction. So over the last few days when I was here, I observed there's actually a very fundamental ground issue. A lot of the frontline don't even know that they accept WeChat Pay. And I have to insist, I have to tell them, hi, I'm from WeChat. Can I show you how do you operate WeChat and collect money from a Chinese who would like to pay you instead of, trying to ask for alternative payment mode? Because the best customer service that you can offer in Maldives, of course, is the part where you offer frictionless, painless payment mode for them, right? So that, and we know the potential of them, their ability to actually spend when they're here on a holiday. Just now I spoke about, this is an example I actually picked up from China, some of the hotels in China, what they are doing. Because I get this comment a lot where everything in Maldives, for example, are all pre-booked or prepaid. So there is no need for a Chinese payment mode in my resort. But it's not true, because I'm pretty sure you do have, or you want to drive up your ancillary revenue when you're here. You may even want to convince them to extend their stay if they like it so much. Who is to say that it's not possible? So these are just some examples that we pick up from some of the hotels in China where they're actually using mini program to try to entice, create that pockets of opportunity for the Chinese customer to upspend at their property. So with that, I've come to the end of my sharing. If you need more information about WeChat Pay, please feel free to reach out to me. Or, of course, BML or global payment. Thank you so much, everyone, for your attention. Thank you.